I went through the emails of 4 9-figure brands and one that's doing $1 billion in annual revenue. And I found something weird. They're doing the exact same things. And most ecom brands that I talk to, they are doing none of these things. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what these ecom brands are doing with their emails, why it works, and how you can steal it for your own store today. Before we go through the 9-figure brands and the emails they are sending, I wanted to show you some results from our clients here. So these are some of the campaigns we sent for them. And granted, a lot of them are for promos because we tend to do basically a lot of teasing before promos, before we launch them. And then when we launch, typically the email does very, very well. We typically generate between multiple 4 to 5 figures from these campaigns. If you are generating $100,000 per month at the moment, you could generate up to 25% of that, $25,000 from these campaigns. We haven't even talked about flows or SMS messages. So let's go through the first brand, which is Dr. Squatch, very famous brand. They are projected to generate $350 to $450 million, and they were acquired by Unilever for $1.5 billion. The first email from them is a collaboration with Megan Fox, and they tend to do a lot of these collabs. They recently did one with Sydney Sweeney, where they had this strange campaign where they sold soap with her bath water or something like that. You will notice that with the subject line here, it's curiosity based, and they tend to do that a lot because when you get people curious, they are more likely to open your email, and the more people open your email, the more revenue you will be able to generate, as long as you don't mislead people or clickbait them or something like that. They say Megan Fox wants to teach you a lesson, and then for the preview text, they basically use a pain point and benefit, goodbye to stinky pits and hello to natural odor excellence. In terms of the email itself, one thing they do very well is they always highlight the rewards program at the top here. If you have a rewards or loyalty program, this is the best placement for it to be because it syncs directly with your klaviyo and people can actually see how many points they have. And this is the simplest, lowest friction way for them to basically join your rewards program, earn more points. It will get them to spend more money with you so they can earn more points and unlock some free gifts. This is a great placement for it. We used it for some of our clients that had rewards programs. For the email itself, you will notice the tone of voice is very specific for this one, and they use a lot of wordplay, a lot of innuendos inside of the email. So they have a photo of Megan Fox here, and then they say, let your stick do the talking. So this is basically sexual innuendo. And then they clarify it here by saying deodorant. So they mean deodorant by saying stick here. And then they say head professor Megan Fox is here to teach you how you can let your stick do the talking. And then they have a CTA. For a lot of these 9-figure brands, they always tend to have the CTA above the fold because that will get them a higher click-through rate because it basically targets high intent people who are interested in going ahead and placing an order. For people who are still a little bit on the fence and maybe they need more information, then they can basically scroll down to see the rest of the email. The second section, they say for top students only, again, maintaining that classroom kind of professor theme. And then they have the product listed. Again, they highlight some of their products. They say DO 101, again, maintaining that classroom theme here, DO 202, and then DO grad. And at the bottom here, they say ace your underarm game. So basically ace your test, which is along that same tone of voice as well. This is something that you can apply for your brand. So make sure that all the copy aligns with your branding guidelines and the tone of voice as well. And another thing, make sure that your copy is consistent throughout your email as well. So if you are talking about a particular theme, it would convert well if you can keep that theme consistent across the email. Let's go through the second email here. It is for one of their new products. So it's basically a new product launch here. And you will notice here that they combine a direct subject line with a curiosity base. So they say new, which is a direct subject line. We typically use those for our either product launches or for our promos. And they say the toughest soap in the world, which gets people curious. So they are more likely to open the email. And then they have the preview text is typically an extension of the subject line. Basically, it offers more information. The same thing, they have the rewards program at the top here. They have a tagline at the top, front and center, and always they have the CTA above the fold here. So for photography, if you have a product that can be photographed on flat lays or basically on backgrounds like this, then it's very easy to create these now with Nano Banana or other tools as well. So you can make sure that your photography aligns with the tone of voice and the theme of the email as well. So they say the toughest soap in the world, and then they highlight some unique selling propositions. So one thing I see a lot of 9-figure brands do as well is they try to make their emails more visual and they try to make them more scannable and digestible because people have very short attention spans these days. So if you have blocks of paragraphs or text, then people are more likely to abandon and bounce from your email. They say here size mega brick, and then grit extra heavy featuring volcanic rock, and then they say smell like rock solid. Basically some unique selling propositions. And for our clients' emails, whenever we can highlight something with visuals instead of words, then we typically do that because vision evolved way before speech or words, and our brains actually process visuals 60,000 times faster than they process words. So if you can make your emails more digestible and visual, they work incredibly well. And then they have you asked for this, and they highlight some feedback from their customers. They say, wish it was heavier grit. So this is actually for a different product. So they listened to their customers and they came up with this soap here. I wish they made this a little bit clearer because they highlight it here. No, seriously, we read your reviews. You kind of did, but it's a little bit hidden with a smaller font. Some people might not get the context when they read the review and it says, wish it was heavier grit. So they might think that they are talking about this product here. Let's go through the third and last email for this brand. And it's a collab they had with Dragon Ball Z, which is one of my favorite childhood animes. So they say the fight for freshness is on. Again, a little bit of curiosity. Which scent rules your fighter energy here? So for the emails, again, the exact same thing. They have the rewards program at the top. They have the logos here for both brands. They have the tagline here at the top, the fight for the shower begins. They have the characters from the anime. They have Goku here. They have Vegeta, and they have the two products here selected. You will notice that it's not always possible to have the CTA above the fold here, and it's okay. As long as you put it at the top for most of your emails, that's totally okay, because sometimes you might need to give a little bit of context before you link to your products. And then they say same level power, and then they highlight basically two products. One thing you will notice a lot of 8 and 9 figure brands do is they always try to push for bundles and kits. And the reason they do this is twofold. So the first one is they are trying to get better cash flow, because the higher the AOV, the more they are able to spend at the top of the funnel to acquire a customer. And the second thing is to reduce churn through habit forming, because when someone orders maybe just one brick and they try it for like a couple of weeks or maybe a month, then they might have not developed the habit for them to be addicted to that product and then go ahead and reorder it again. And this is the same for food brands or supplement brands as well. I did a breakdown recently of IM8 and I compared them to AG1 in the supplement space. So they basically try to get people into a 3-month subscription because they know that it takes about a month or two for people to start feeling the results. And when they start feeling the results, when they start to feel they have less brain fog, they have better digestion, they have better energy, then they are more likely to go ahead and reorder. But if they only buy for the first month and they don't see results, then they are less likely to go ahead and place an order. So people who have higher average order values, or they buy maybe 2 or 3 months worth of supply, they are more likely to come back and order from you. So this is something that a lot of these brands leverage, so they are able to scale faster. Let's go to the second brand here, which is Hexclad, and they are projected to generate about $350 to $400 million. And this is the brand that partnered with Gordon Ramsay. So it's a very, very famous brand. You will notice here in terms of the subject line, they basically highlight a benefit, buy now, pay later. So the 3 most common subject lines that we use for our clients are, the first one is curiosity based. The second one is benefit based, or outcome or desire based. And the third one is direct, as we discussed before. So here they say buy now, pay later. It's basically for some of their financing options. And then they say, yes, please. Let's go through the email here. You qualify for free shipping. So they highlight some of their unique selling propositions at the top here. So basically people can get the free shipping. And then they say cook now, pay later. And then one thing this brand does very well is the way they make their emails flow. You will notice here that they remove the backgrounds from a lot of their emails so they can insert them basically inside the email and have a consistent background. That way you don't have these sections, which could affect the flow of the email as well. So imagine if you had like a photo here at the top, which is a square or a rectangle, the email will not be as flowy as if you use this type of photography that they are using at the moment. They say cook now, pay later. Again, a consistent theme with a lot of brands here. They have the CTA above the fold, and then they have some text at the bottom, and then how to use Affirm in 4 easy steps. So this is basically an explanation on how you can use the financing options. And this works incredibly well, especially if you sell high priced or high AOV products, because the objective is for you to try to reduce friction as much as possible and introduce some form of guarantee, maybe financing or risk reversal. For the rest of the email, they say hybrid technology. They highlight some of their categories, best-selling sets, cookware, aprons, knives, etc. And at the bottom here, they highlight social proof. And this is very important because we use social proof in about 60 to 70% of the emails that we send for our clients. And this could be in terms of actual reviews, maybe positive comments we saw on social media, maybe review counts, like this one says 50,000 plus 5-star reviews, or it could be magazine features or something like that. So let's go to the second email here. You will notice again with launching new products, they say meet our new milk pods. So the same thing with Dr. Squatch. Typically with product launches, we like to be direct and highlight the product that we have launched. And then they use a little bit of curiosity here. They say it's the cutest. In terms of the email itself, they say drizzle me this, and they literally have just a headline with no text and the CTA. So they are trying to target those high intent shoppers to get them to click and go to check the product on their website, because they will have more products on the website. So generally speaking, the email is just for teasing and getting people curious so they go to the website and find out out more. What I see a lot of ecom brands do is they include everything inside of their email, so there is no incentive for people to click and go to the website to learn more. In terms of photography, this is something that I really like and we use for some of our clients. It's basically to expand the background at the top of your photo so you can include the logo and the text here. And we use Photoshop for that, or maybe other AI tools. So all you have to do is just use the crop tool, expand it at the top, and then click expand, and it will do it for you. These type of photos work incredibly well. Then they have a call out here. They say a new product. They have some delicious food here. That's making me a little bit hungry here. And then they have some text at the bottom. Another thing they do that is similar to Dr. Squatch is highlight the unique selling propositions in a semi, let's say, visual aspect. I would have loved for them to include maybe some visual elements here, like icons or something like that. And the objective is just to reduce mental and decision fatigue from the user so they know exactly what you are talking about without you having to list a lot of text. For example, if you're talking about temperature resistance or something like that, you can include a thermometer. So these work incredibly well, and they are basically visual cues or shortcuts. They have more text here and then another CTA here, and then they have the same type of photography. You will notice that the background is black here and it aligns with the rest of the email. So I really like this type of photography. Again, they highlight some food here. So if you're selling food or something related to that, there is no better photography than to actually include food photos. And then they have their referral program here. They say give a friend $100 to spend on Hexclad and earn a free reward for yourselves. So this is for their referral program. Again, similar to what Dr. Squash does at the top. Then they say hybrid technology, some information here. They highlight their categories. And again, the footer is pretty much the same. They highlight their social proof. So for the third email, you will notice some similar patterns in terms of the subject line. Again, direct subject line. It says new Japanese cookware. And then they say Japan's bestsellers have arrived here. So a little bit of curiosity to get people to open. And then they have the same thing, photography without background, so they can insert text and it looks very flowy. They have a call out new product here. And the one thing you will notice here is that they used a different font. So generally speaking, for our clients, we only use the fonts they have in their branding guidelines. However, in some instances, if you wanted to highlight something like this, for example, then it could work very well. They have some text here and then again, a CTA above the fold here. This is actually the only photo I saw where it was basically a rectangle here. So they didn't use that backgroundless type of photo. Again, it still looks very nice, but it's a little bit different. They are trying to pattern break here. Hybrid Japanese egg pan. They have some text. Again, the unique selling propositions of this particular pan. I would have loved to see icons or visual cues here, but again, very consistent across all of their emails. They have more photos here of another product. Again, the same USPs, and then they have the CTA below here as well. So you've probably already noticed a lot of commonalities between these brands or these emails. They always use similar subject lines. They use the same format in terms of the USPs, reduce mental fatigue from people and get them to understand the information better. Their emails are always digestible and scannable, not a lot of chunks of text. So you can implement these in your emails as well to make them more elevated and generate more revenue for your brand. Let's go through the third brand, which is the biggest amongst these. It's Liquid IV. They are projected to generate $800 million to $1 billion plus dollars, and they were also acquired by Unilever. Again, this is the other brand that I highlighted before. The subject line that they used here is a direct subject line. This is for an educational email. So even for a 9, potentially 10-figure brand, they still do a lot of education. Class is in session. Then they have their menu at the top here. Then they have a product photo at the top. Then a headline that says Hydration 101. And then they try to educate their customers. Then they have the infamous M- here. So not sure if they used AI to write this copy. Then they say 7 signs you may be dehydrated. And they highlight some of the signs here. This reminds me of those old pharmaceutical commercials where they highlight basically 10 or 15 different symptoms that you definitely have a couple of, and you are more tempted to buy that particular drug. They say hydration is a process. Liquid IV is designed to support it. And then they have a CTA here. Again, they do more education here by highlighting the 4 phases: intake, absorption, retention, and distribution, and then the turnaround. So this is more of a BAB or PAS framework. So BAB for before after bridge. They highlight the before, basically the pain points, and then the after, and then they bridge them together with their product. Or the PAS, so problem, agitate, solution. They highlight the problem, they agitate it a little bit, make it a little bit more vivid in people's imagination, and then they highlight their product as the solution for this problem. This is basically the transformation, the difference you may feel: boosted energy, improved physical performance, better cognition, sleep, and mood. And then they have the CTA at the bottom here. So very good educational email from Liquid IV here. The next email is one of my absolute favorites, and I love sending these email in multiple instances. For example, we include it in the welcome flow. We sometimes include it in the checkout abandonment flow, and we send it as a standalone campaign as well. This is one of the best emails to overcome your customers' objections or resistance to buying your product. So they say why we're number one. So they are not afraid of being a little bit cocky Kentucky here in powdered hydration, that is. And then they have the email. It's us versus them. Really good framing, but it's not real competition. They have a visual of their product and then some random product here. So they are not calling out a particular brand. They are just positioning their product against maybe some common product in the industry. So a unique strategy that I've seen IM8 do against their competitors, much bigger competitors like AG1, for example, is they literally call out their products in their emails and on their website as well. If you go to their website and scroll all the way to the bottom to the footer, you will notice that they have direct comparisons between them and AG1, between them and Huel and other popular brands as well. And a lot of these brands are much, much bigger than them. So they are trying to play the David versus Goliath kind of framework, and it works really well for them. They managed to scale to $100 million run rate in less than 11 months when it actually took Athletic Greens about 10 years to achieve similar result. It works incredibly well for them. And if you're interested in that video breakdown that I did, you can just click on the link in the description. So let's continue with the email here. They say hydrate better. They have the CTA. And then this is the table that I love including in our clients' emails as well. So you basically highlight some unique selling propositions where you're superior to your competitors. And then you have your own product versus the competitor, and then highlight how exactly your product is much, much better. So this will again reduce friction, will reduce mental and decision fatigue for your subscribers, especially at the stage when they are doing competitive research, which is typically earlier in the funnel. Maybe they are still going through welcome flow or something like that. So this is one of the best emails to overcome their objections. Then they say get more from your water, and then they highlight some of their products here, and they say sip for yourself. So one other thing that a lot of these big brands do is they almost never have generic CTAs. So they don't say buy now or shop now or something like that, because that's very lame and it does not convert very well. So they always either use curiosity based, maybe fun, lighthearted CTAs, or benefit based CTAs. So those are actually my favorite. They say here sip for yourself. This is more like a wordplay, so it should see for yourself, and they say sip for yourself. But generally speaking, I like to have benefit based CTAs. So let's say for a mattress company, instead of saying buy now or shop now, you could say something like feel rested or wake up rested or something like that. Let's go through the last email from Liquid IV. Again, the same pattern emerges here. They say your festival lineup is complete. Fix it with a free flavor. And what they are trying to do is to increase the average order value, as we highlighted before with other brands. And this will help them reduce churn and also increase cash flow. So they say buy 3, get 1 free. So this is more like a BOGO promo. People buy 3 and they get 1 hydration sachet for free, which is basically 25% off savings here. And they say bundle. Then another thing that I really like at the bottom here is that they say our hydration playlist. So it's basically like a Spotify music playlist. But yeah, they just highlight their products here that people can bundle. So trying to be a little bit playful, trying to be a little bit funny here. So in terms of content for our clients, we generally speaking follow the 4E framework. So the first one is going to be educate. We send emails that educate our customers about our industry and products, and this will help us position our clients' brands as authority in the space. The second one is going to be engage, try to get engagement, maybe clicks, replies, etc. The third one is going to be entertain, and these are some of my absolute favorites. They work incredibly well because if you can make your customers smile or laugh, they are more likely to like your brand, and we know that people buy from brands they like. And the fourth one is going to be to empower. So sending empowering emails that will help people make the right choices in their lives. So the fourth brand that's doing incredibly well is Magic Spoon, and this is one of my absolute favorite brands, especially in terms of their email program. They are projected to generate $150 to $200 million. I'm actually working on a breakdown of how they managed to scale to this level, and I'm going to publish it in a couple of weeks from now. So make sure to subscribe below to get notified when I do. So let's go through the subject line here. They say buy more, save more. It's that simple. Again, the same pattern. They always try to push bundles or kits, try to get that high AOV. They say who doesn't like savings? And then they say save more when you buy more. And one of my absolute favorite things about this brand, especially in terms of their email program, is they are very brief and to the point. They don't beat around the bush. They use less words, and their emails are always digestible and scannable. So they have, let's say, a tagline or headline at the top here, some maybe benefit text here, and they have the CTA always above the fold. And then they highlight that when people buy the 6-pack, they save $5, and when they buy the 8-pack, they save $10. So the more they buy, the more they save. And then some photography here. And one of the biggest reasons that this brand was able to scale very quickly in a very saturated market, I mean, they are competing against Kellogg's and General Mills, which have been around for 100+ years. And despite that their price is actually double what the industry average is, biggest reason is their branding, because it works incredibly well on the shelves as well as on social media as well, because they have these bright saturated colors. So let's go to the second email here. And this one is from a collab with Mementos. They say, can one cereal loop really do it all? So they are trying to use a little bit of curiosity to get people to open, try this Mementos magic breakfast innovation. And then they have basically the logos of the two brands at the top here. here. They have the product at the bottom here, introducing everything daily loops. So this is a very interesting collab that I did not actually expect, because Momentous is very famous in the supplements niche. They produce some of the best supplements in the industry. I did not think that they would collaborate with a food brand, especially one that sells cereals here. Very, very interesting. And then they have the product. They highlight the unique selling propositions. Again, if you can use visual cues to get people to go through your email quickly, that works incredibly well. So they say 30 grams whey protein isolate. They have 5 grams of creatine monohydrate, and they have 10 grams of prebiotic fiber that helps with gut health. So really interesting product here that I did not expect. And they also have some extra benefits here. So they say an exclusive sprinkle of magnesium L-threonate, which is actually, I believe, one of the only magnesium that can cross the blood-brain barrier. And it's actually pretty expensive to produce. It's more expensive than the other forms like glycinate or something like that, but they include it here. They also include zinc and vitamin D3. So yeah, this seems like a really good product. They have some text here for recommended use, and then breakfast fully optimized, and then a CTA at the bottom here. So really, really good email. So the last email from Magic Spoon is very short and sweet. They say it's our birthday, but you get the gift, and then free box that treats you with orders over $55. So it's basically a limit order, spend $55 and get a free box. This is also one of the best offers to get a higher average order value, because people love to get free gifts. And ideally you would give a free gift that has a low manufacturing cost for you. So it's very cheap to produce, but has a high perceived value. So people perceive it as high value. They say it's our birthday, get a free treat on us. They literally have some text and then get your gift and then some image here. So super short, sweet, and to the point. So this brand has some of my absolute favorite email programs. Now, I know I only said that we're going to be going through 4 different 9-figure brands, but this video would not be complete without my absolute favorite email program out there, which is from Grasa. They are not at the 9-figure mark yet, but they are projected to generate about $50 to $80 million, which is pretty great. And they are actually following in the footsteps of Magic Spoon as well. So what they did is start with a cult e-commerce following and try to get basically proof of concept, try to get a lot of data, and then rapidly taking over shelf space in Whole Foods, Target, etc. So Magic Spoon did this very well, and now they are in over, I believe, 6,000 locations, and they are generating about 70% of their total revenue just from these retail locations, which is pretty impressive. So let's go through the first email here. They say all we have is soup, and soup calls for sizzle. Again, they call out one of their products and they use a little bit of curiosity. One thing I really like about this brand is their basically brand identity. And you would be surprised to find out that the same agency that worked on their branding guidelines also worked on the branding guidelines of Magic Spoon. And the agency is called Gander. It's based in Brooklyn, I believe. They did a really, really good job. And you will notice that they have a lot of these drawings and cartoons. And you'd be also surprised that they do a lot of these by hand. So they literally draw them by hand and then they digitize them, which is very interesting here. They say sizzle some soup. Again, a big tagline or headline at the top. Some drawings here that align very well with their branding guidelines. They have some text here and always the CTA above the fold here. So at the bottom, they have a photo, and most of their photos are actually not taken by digital cameras. So this is one interesting direction they decided to go for. And if you're interested in the full breakdown on how they managed to scale, I have another guide breaking down everything. So all you have to do is click on the link in the description. Then they basically say French onion soup and then slurp it. So one thing that worked incredibly well for them is their content. So they have this blog that they call Glog. Yeah, it basically acts as a content hub for everything they do. So their emails, they always try to tease the content, get people very curious, and then send them to the website, because that's where people are going to place an order. Another thing with their photography is they always try to include delicious food here. So Grasa is one of the only brands that I actually look forward to opening their emails. And then another sweet potato squash coconut soup as well. And they have the CTA. So we will notice also that they don't use generic CTAs like shop now or buy now. So the second email is a classic product education email. So they say sizzle, drizzle, or frizzle, which are 3 of their products. So they are basically trying to compare them, and they say you really can't go wrong. They have the logo at the top. They have a big headline here, some text at the bottom. It's not a competition, but there is a time and a place. Then they highlight their sizzle product and some of the unique selling propositions and use cases for it. They highlight the drizzle. They say it's punchy, and some use cases for it as well. And then they highlight their frizzle, which is their cooking oil. At the bottom, they try to play a little bit of a personality test here. They say, which oil are you? And then they have a CTA of personality check. Another thing that's consistent with other brands as well is that they always try to push for their kits and almost never promote single products. So the third and last email for this brand is a plain text email, and Grasa does them very well. We love to send these types of emails, sometimes from the founders themselves, sometimes from a support team member, but they work incredibly well because they get higher deliverability and they are more likely to get better engagement. What to get your crush for V-Day? This is a Valentine's Day offer, and they have a short short and sweet plain text email here with only one link inside of it. These feel like an email from a friend, and they are one of our clients' top performers as well. There you have it, the emails from 4 9-figure brands plus a multiple 8-figure brand. So if you'd like to see the 16 highest converting emails that we send for our clients, I have a full guide that I link to in the description below. And if you'd like us to create high converting emails for your brand, then I'm happy to offer you a free in-depth audit of your email and SMS program, where I show you exactly what's missing, what could be improved, and how much more revenue you will be able to generate when all of the improvements are implemented. Just for context, if your brand is doing $100,000 a month at the moment, email and SMS should account for at least 35 to 50% of that revenue. Click on the link in the description to schedule a quick call with me. See you in the next one.